Welcome back, everyone, to Overwatchers, Episode 3. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and with me, as always, is Patrick Beja, who really can't stand it when I say welcome back to the episode number.
It does not make sense, Garrett. It is, welcome back to Overwatchers. Okay, welcome back to Overwatchers, Episode 3. No, we've never been at Episode 3. People have never listened to it before, so they're not coming back to it. I'm a defender of science and logic here. And by the way, as I was saying, on the first time we did this intro, which you rudely interrupted in the hopes that I would not call you out again, you do it on the Angry Chicken all the time, and it drives me nuts.
How dare I? Yeah, that's.
I don't know.
In the future, is it okay if I say show title and then I literally say the word comma, episode number? Is that all right?
Maybe. No, maybe you should say this is episode 3. Then it makes sense. Then I'm happy.
But I was saying
right.
greetings.
Anyway, I'm done. Interrupting you. Now you can do the show.
Delightful. Well, anyways, this is our show about Overwatchers, the new first-person shooter coming to us when it's ready from Blizzard Entertainment, as they tend to do things. And well, this is our third week doing it, and we're here to talk about the rest, or the following 6 heroes that we didn't discuss last week. This week we're going to be talking about the defense heroes and the support heroes. So strap in and get ready, because we're going to kick it off with defense this week. And I have a feeling you have some strong opinions about the next hero, because you and I may talk off stream. And I remember us both being a little excited.
Yeah, there's a little bit of strong feelings, I think, not just for me, but from anyone who's played the game at BlizzCon 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. First of all, though, defense, I think we should say just a few words about that. It's not, at first when I watched the classifications of roles of heroes, it felt a little bit weird that we would have both tanks and defense. So just to emphasize the fact that they're not the same, tanks are guarding an objective and really meaty, like heroes that you're going to need a lot of bullets to bring down. Defense are really just about that, about defending a point. So they're really damage dealer kind of people, except they're not the offensive kind that's going to rush in. They're standing in place and making sure that no one passes through. So I thought that might be a good thing to specify.
Yeah, tanks are your bullet sponges, and these next few defense heroes we're going to talk about are really more about zone control. I remember I know I mentioned I think it was Farah's ult last week that I loved because it's good for zone control, but it's really only good when she's doing that ult. These next 3 heroes really kind of, they more or less, they set up in a given area, and they're just protecting it and causing all kinds of hell in that wherever they happen to be camping at the time. Which also isn't to say that they can't be offensive. If you were at BlizzCon, or if you watched the virtual ticket and you saw the casted game that they had, we saw Torbjörn get real offensive. Who we're gonna talk about him.
Angry.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna talk about him in a bit, but we're gonna kick off our discussion of the defense heroes with Bastion,
who strikes fear in the minds of his enemies and possibly, friends as well. So Bastion is one of those characters that is super cool from a game design standpoint and from a artistic design standpoint as well. He's a robot who can turn into a what they call siege turret. And he's this death machine, but he also likes birds, and he's sweet, apparently.
He's a robot that was programmed to love.
One of the few. So he was really wreaking havoc at BlizzCon. Maybe we can come back to that in a little bit, but basically, to describe his abilities, they're mainly just one, which is the fact that he can turn himself into a turret. That's really his defining gameplay characteristic. So he can fire his gun in normal mode, which is just a, whatever full auto machine gun. And then if he turns himself into the siege configuration, the turret, he can't move anymore, but he gets a Gatling gun with a awesome animation, by the way. He gets a Gatling gun, which I can see in your notes. You can fire 200 rounds. And cherry on top, he also have a shield similar to the one we talked about when we were describing Reinhardt, which is basically this front-facing, very wide shield. So he really has everything going for him when he's in turret mode, except he can't move. And also, I don't believe he can rotate completely to face backwards.
No, I don't believe that's. I don't believe that's the case either. And his shield, by the way, I know we for those who weren't able to play it, it's similar in function to Reinhardt's, but it is way smaller. It's just this small little forward-facing shield just around him. Your buddies aren't really going to be standing behind you reaping the benefits of your shield.
Well, in theory, I'm sure they could stand behind him, and if they aimed well, but it's true, it's a lot smaller than Reinhardt's.
Yeah, he's not going to be putting up this massive shield and escorting his team down an alleyway like Reinhardt can.
Yeah, especially since he can't move when he has.
Yes, that's also a big thing as well. Even if he could move, it'd be a pretty ineffective shield for group movement. But
fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just to specify, the time to reconfigure is about a second and a half, I would say. It goes really quickly. But if you're caught with your robotic pants down with someone coming behind you, I'm guessing that second and a half is way too long for you to save yourself.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially if it's some kind of high damage hero, like say a tracer gets really close to you with those bullet hoses that she calls pistols. Yeah, and I'm sure it'd be lights out for Bastion. And that's really what it came down to at BlizzCon. Was everyone was having a lot of issue with him, but if you got behind him, he was pretty much done for.
So before we get into strategy, the other two abilities he has is self-repair, which is one of his E key, which is really used very often. He can regain health by self-repairing, and it's very visible. He has like a street work repairing giant graphic around him, like a cop crime scene line.
It looks like caution tape, but really big and bright and lit up, so both your team and the opposing team can see, oh, he's immobile and healing himself at the moment. Let's blow him up.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one is his ultimate ability, which is a remote mine, where he throws a little remote-controlled mine, and your UI gets in third person or third destruction utility, and you drive it around and then bury it somewhere, I believe. Right?
It's like controlling an RC car. And then when you
bury it, and then when someone shows up, its proximity mine, it jumps up and does kind of a Death Blossom from Reaper ultimate move. It just starts firing everywhere around it for a few seconds.
Yeah, it's
very deadly.
Yeah, it's not a traditional explosive mine. It kind of pops up like a 360-degree turret that just starts rapid firing bullets in every direction.
Yeah. So that's the kit. That's his kit. And he was really problematic at BlizzCon, and because he was really difficult to take out. And the strategy that a lot of people implemented after a while was to get 2, 3, 4 bastions, get, really in defense positions and just tear through everything. And it was very difficult for people to get through. So commonly he was called the OP character at the show. And it's really difficult to say whether or not it was because he is a little bit overpowered and they need to bring him down, or if it is because most people only had a few minutes to play with the game and didn't quite understand the strategies, the general gameplay mechanics, and didn't realize that they needed to use their movement abilities to get behind him, and then he would be toast easily. So
I think it's more of it's more of the latter. I mean, having played on the floor, I certainly had issues that I don't think I would have had I been able to sit at home, log 4 games in a row, kind of get the lay of the land. And also, if I was even remotely able to hear my teammates, I think things would have gone a lot better. But it's very loud on the floor of BlizzCon, and they slap these giant headphones on you, so it's kind of hard to yell at each other.
Oh, you can yell. You just can't hear people who are yelling at you.
Yep, so. Absolutely.
But yeah, he's the character that made a lot of people unhappy, people sad, I guess. We'll see how he turns out once the beta starts.
Yeah,
I know they've been gathering a huge amount of data at the show. And they were talking with people, and definitely that feedback came back to them very clearly, I think. So maybe they'll be taking a look at the character, or maybe they'll want to see how things evolve when people have, more than 20 minutes to play with the game.
Yeah, I really like the design of Bastion as a kit, because I mean, we're going to talk about Torbjörn here in a second, who builds a turret, but playing the turret itself that can just uproot and start walking around. The second I saw that when they announced it at the opening ceremony, and I saw this dude just morph into a turret, I'm just like, oh man, I'm playing him. That's so my style. I love that idea of just like, well, what if we just let the player be the turret? Why not?
Yeah. And it's very it's one of those very unique types of gameplay that we were talking about 1 or 2 episodes ago, with the fact that you just you just play a type of game that mechanically, or a type of character rather, that mechanically you haven't really played before in an FPS. So yeah, looking forward to him, definitely.
Yeah. One
of the characters I'm not really looking forward to, and I haven't played because it's not, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me at first glance, is Torbjörn, which I believe is read Björn because of the umlaut on the O, and in Swedish that is instead of O. So I think something like that.
Yeah, on stage they were calling him Torbjörn.
Yeah, but that's because they're silly Americans who don't know how to speak.
Fair enough.
and also, who knows how dialects will have evolved in 60-ish years time when the game is set. Maybe that reading, and maybe he's not even Scandinavian. Maybe, as his accent suggests, he is Scottish. So
he also looks like a dwarf who always has Scottish accents.
Of course.
I don't know anything anymore. I mean, finally we have voiceover in World of Warcraft Dungeons, so I finally know how to pronounce Auchindoun, which is not how I ever was pronouncing it back in Burning Crusade. So up is down for me nowadays. I don't even know anymore. So I'm going to call him Torbjörn for lack of a developed dialect. But for our purposes today, that's what I will be saying.
Acceptable.
I am sorry. But he is, I believe, 100% responsible for all of the comparing of Overwatch to Team Fortress 2. Because if you've ever played Team Fortress, you know there is an engineer, and he built a turret, and he's got a wrench, and the second we saw this guy, I'm like, oh, I think I see what they're going for. And at least it was a place for me to grab on, because I remember when they showed the trailer, I was just like, I'm not sure what this is. Is this... Because I wasn't expecting just a competitive FPS from Blizzard. I was trying to wrap my head around, like no, there's got to be like some kind of twist to this. And there is, but it's a little more, I don't know. Anyways, so his big thing is he can build a turret, and he doesn't. Last episode when we talked about a lot of the heroes, a lot of them had some type of movement function on the shift key. He doesn't have any type of real fun movement ability. His shift key.
You heard it here first. Torbjörn isn't fun at all, says Garrett. He hates the character as I do.
No. I love this class of hero in games. I play the hell out of the engineer in Team Fortress 2, and I expect I'm going to play a lot of Torbjörn when we get access to this game. But yeah, his shift ability is just it just toggles his placement for the turret, and you hold out the base in front of you and you drop it. It doesn't auto build though. You have to drop the base, and then you have to start whacking on this thing with your hammer, which you can swap to with the 2 key. And it consumes scrap, which is a resource that is exclusive to Torbjörn. He can hold up to 200 scrap, and he gets it off of dead allies and dead enemies. Someone dies around Torbjörn, he can run over their dead body and pick up scrap. Because I know when I die, I drop metal and stuff out of my pockets.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of
it's just that it's in the future. In the future, everyone will be doing that. It's just that now, we're not doing it yet.
There you go.
That's the vision of the game.
So that's kind of the ebb and flow of Torbjörn. He doesn't really have any harsh cooldowns on his abilities, like building a turret, or his other ability, which is he can drop an armor pack. So he just drops it in whatever area he's aimed at the moment, and he can pick it up, or his allies can pick it up, and it gives them armor. It doesn't heal them. It works very similar to, say, an overshield in Halo. It's like extra points of damage people have to deal to you before your health starts diminishing. But yeah, the way he kind of can't just keep dropping turrets or keep dropping armor packs is that he'll run out of scrap. An armor pack takes 30 scrap. A turret takes 150 for level 1. And you can only carry 200, so you have to pick your turret placement wisely, and you have to then make sure you're somewhat mobile, or I wouldn't say hope your friends die around you, but make use of your ally's death.
Does he start with a certain amount of scrap to begin with?
That I honestly don't know.
I'm guessing he does, because it's not really a lot of fun if you have to wait for a minute before you can do anything in the game.
Yeah, I would assume so. I didn't notice at the show, and it doesn't specify on the Overwatch website, but I'm almost positive, because if your main deal is, well, you build a turret and you can't until a bunch of people die, that would be really unfun. So. But yeah, be smart with the placement of that first turret. But then he can upgrade it and whatnot. And talking about his ult for a second, what's the level that you hit ults again?
You hit ult?
That you unlock your ult ability.
The level? Sorry, I'm not sorry. It takes a little while, and it depends on how much you've taken damage or inflicted damage. So it depends. Gotcha. It changes for everyone.
Okay, cool. Because when he unlocks that, it's called Molten Core. Huzzah! Reference. He gains a bunch of scrap and also armor when you pop it, so he can just start building whatever he wants if he's low on scrap. But it also makes him attack significantly faster, repair significantly faster, or build significantly faster. So that's another way he can kind of give himself scrap in a pinch once you unlock your ultimate ability. But as we were talking about, and I do want to mention, if you haven't seen the casted video, the payload game type where you're escorting this kind of, I don't know, cart, for lack of a better word, is where Torbjörn.
Yeah, it's a giant locomotive from engine from a train, right? Like it's a train engine machine.
Yes.
Anyway, it really doesn't matter. I just didn't want you to reduce it to a cart.
That is a much more badass description of and an honest description of what it is than just saying it's like a shopping cart. No. That's where Torbjörn can get real offensive, because he can actually build his turret on top of the payload. So now it is now a mobile turret. And it's absurd when this happens. If you get to watch the casted game, you see a Torbjörn successfully pull this off, and this turret is just ranking up kills. It's disgusting. I can't wait to see this happen in a real game. on both cases. I'm very curious about how to fight against it, and I can't wait just to be laughing walking behind our payload as our Torbjörn just kills everyone. So,
yeah. I think it's a really what's the limiting mechanic for in TF2 for the engineer to make it so he doesn't build a million turrets everywhere? Is it a cooldown, or is it like a duration? Does he have limited amounts of turrets? I can't remember. I've played it for a little bit, but I didn't play the engineer.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I played TF2 regularly, and I don't remember exactly.
But I guess my point is that the resource mechanic is really interesting, and I'm curious to see how it turns out, because you don't, usually you think about abilities limiting factors in these games, and it is either a cooldown or just a resource that replenishes over time by itself, that kind of thing. Here, the fact that you actually have to go out and collect resources is something, again, a little bit different for this kind of game. So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wish I could remember how the engineer played. I played so much TF2, but it was all much like Counter-Strike in a very narrow window of like 4 months back in college. Yeah. So anyway, I just the engineer was really the guy I played, him and the sniper back then, but I don't remember his exact kit. Anyways,
well, yeah. I'm sure someone will be kind enough and tell us.
Oh, on the internet, someone
maybe
just barrage you with information when you're not sure of it. No way, Patrick. That will not happen.
In this case, we'll be happy that they do. Widowmaker.
Yeah, here's another one. I'm always down for a good sniper, and I remember being surprised by how many bullets were in Widowmaker's sniper rifle before you have to reload. Widowmaker is the final defense hero here, and I probably played her and Mercy the most, which I wasn't expecting. Those were the two heroes at the bottom of my list, but for the games we were in, I found the need to switch to them. But Widowmaker is the sniper. Looks a lot like Kerrigan from StarCraft, and according to Chris Metzen, has pretty much the same backstory. Which is also the same backstory as Arthas, which is also the same backstory as what's her name from Leah from Diablo, and they've reused the story a lot, and I'm okay with it. But she's your run-of-the-mill sniper. I love her gun design because it actually transforms depending on what you need to be doing. If you just left-click with the gun out, it's just a machine gun. It just fires. It chews through your 30 rounds and no issue. And when you hold down right-click, as one might expect for a sniper mode, it just transforms into a sniper rifle. You go into the scope, and nothing changes. I thought, I'm in sniper mode. The bullets are going to do more damage, and they're more precise, so they're probably going to make the bullets consume more ammo. No, you got a 30-round semi-automatic sniper rifle, and it is awesome. It is absolutely delightful. So
honestly, that is really cool. The fact that you don't have to worry about having only 4 bullets, or it's just, again, the Blizzard concentrated coolness or whatever design tenet that they have. Let's not make it suck for players. Let's just make it just fun. Let's make sure we expose the fun everywhere. And in this case, it's, I say that, and then she's going to get nerfed and have, 5 bullets when she's in the sniper mode. But it feels more fun that way for sure. Hopefully it's balanced as well.
I mean, when I got into it and I was playing her, I feel like I understand why she has so many rounds, because a lot of the heroes in this game are highly mobile, and it is not easy to land a headshot. Unless you get a good angle on a Bastion in turret mode, and you're just like, I got you now. But most people are, they're Mercy and they're gliding and flying everywhere, or they're another Widowmaker and they're grappling everywhere. Which let's talk about grappling hook real quick, because hooray, fun movement abilities. I love these. Widowmaker's shift ability is grappling hook, and it does exactly what it sounds like it does. Batman style. You just fire a cord with a hook on the end, and wherever it hits, if it's a scalable surface, you'll just pull yourself to it. And this allows Widowmaker to really play with the verticality of the battlegrounds and get into all, you know, the hiding spots you would want to be in if you're a sniper. Actually has some really good synergy with Mercy, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But it's a really fun ability. You can also use it just to like dodge things. You don't need to use it to jump up to a balcony. You can just do it to the wall to your right, and you'll just zip, you know, out of the way of, say, Hanzo's massive dragon ult or something. It's a good way to get around. So
yeah, I can't remember if she has a limited range on that grappling hook. I'm sure she does, but it's fairly long, right?
Yeah, no, it's not infinite. You can't just zip across the map, but it does have quite a long range on it. You can do what you need to without breaking the game, which is good. She can also lay mines. There's a lot of mines in Overwatch. Hers are venom mines. They're another proximity mine, so they go off whenever a target gets close. And they'll stick really to any surface. So we talked about Bastion's mine, which is his ultimate, and so he can drive it around RC car style and put it wherever, but it can't go on walls or ceilings. A Widowmaker just throws her mine, and it'll stick to pretty much any surface. You can throw it on the ceiling, you can throw it on a side wall or on the floor. And it applies poison, like a damage over time, a dot, if you will, to anyone in the blast radius of this thing, and it looks like it does quite a bit of damage.
Which is very cool.
Yeah. But not as cool as her ultimate, which I really like. I like it a lot. It's called Infrasight because cleverness. And it allows her and the entire team, or her entire team.
That's the super important and cool part.
Yeah. To see the enemy team through walls and objects. You see every enemy team member as like red holographs behind whatever they're standing behind, and this is so strong, or it seems so strong. I love it. I mean, it's obviously it's not permanent. This is like, I don't know, maybe 15-20 seconds. I couldn't find an exact timer for how long it was taking, and I checked. I've been watching all these videos looking, and some of the bars when an ability is going has a timer next to them, and some of them don't, and Infrasight does not for some reason. But I don't know why. Consistency, damn it. Consistency. But yeah, it's a super strong ability, and for a sniper, it allows you to lead a shot. We talked about Hanzo, who has the kind of a mine that does a similar effect, but it just kind of gives you a red dot where someone in a small area is. This is like map wide, and being able to just line up your shot as someone's coming around a corner is so great.
It is also, as we were saying, really cool that that everyone gets it, because it's very useful for her, but it's also very useful for everyone else. So that's, you know, the kind of thing that you really like about these abilities that even when they're something of a utility kind of thing, they're still really cool for yourself to use.
Absolutely. So. And there's going to be a few more of these later, like when we get to Symmetra and her ult. And the fact that a lot of the ults in this game aren't super flashy, big, kill everyone abilities. Now Hanzo's Dragon, I think, is the most traditional in terms of ults, if we're talking ults from MOBAs, where it's this big, fancy spell effect and it does a lot of damage. But Widowmaker's Infrasight, it's very subtle, but it is super helpful, and we'll get to Symmetra later, and hers is very, very similar. Can really shift the tide of battle. Now,
I also wanted to say that she is a French character in the lore. Her name is Amélie Lacroix. I hope you enjoy the French pronunciation.
I do.
And of course, as most French characters are, she is a femme fatale. And here I'm using the English, the American pronunciation, with a deep cleavage that makes her femme fatale. So yeah, that's fun as well. I mean, it's I recognize the French image in her. It's kind of fun.
that's good. Yeah, I like her design a lot. I mean, it's a design we've seen from Blizzard multiple times, but I don't really get old of it or sick of it. I like that.
She does make me think of actually, even in the design, she makes me think of Kerrigan a little bit.
Yeah, well, like pre Queen of Blades Kerrigan when she was a ghost, and you see her
and she even says
rifle.
1 shot, 1 kill in the cinematic, or I can't remember, but so there you go.
Which, let's face it, every sniper character ever, when they couldn't think of something clever to make them say, has said. I had not to like drag you into yet another podcast discussion from another show I did, but my buddy Ben on another show I do just went off on this for a good 15 minutes about how he couldn't stand how unoriginal some of the lines in the gameplay trailer was. He's like, you couldn't think of anything even remotely more clever to say than 1 shot, 1 kill. Really, Blizzard? Come on.
I don't know. I took it as a, a hint about the ghost affiliation. So
okay.
the ghosts say 1 shot, 1 kill as well, right?
Right.
I mean, they all say it, but still.
Right. But it's just kind of a sniper phrase. Yeah. It wasn't coined by StarCraft.
Well, in my mind, it was. Okay.
Gotcha. All right. I was curious about your opinion on that, because I remember when we were talking about it, I'm like, I wonder what Patrick would think of this.
I don't know whether to take this as a compliment or an insult. So let's move on to support characters, unless you want to talk more about Widowmaker.
No, I think that's about it. I think we talked about last week how you can kind of make her offensive if you do if you're good at pushing behind Reinhardt's shield. So I'm not gonna retread on. Well, there you go. I retread on it. She can kind of be offensive, much like Torbjörn, but I saw some good pairings with Widowmaker and Reinhardt pushing down alleys. If you're good at sniping on the move, that's a good little combo you can pull off.
Getting into snipe mode, pressing the right button takes half a second, right, to get you your reticle. It's not instant. Right.
I mean, it's quick and it's snappy, but it's not instant. I'd say, it's probably about a half a second. So there's a noticeable delay. So, but yeah, let's talk about support now. And first up is Mercy, who kind of is the poster child for support heroes at this moment. And honestly, I think one of my favorite character designs. I'm a sucker for like Robo Angels. I love Gundam. I love all that I love that visual language, and I really like Mercy's costume a lot.
Well, she's not. Oh, right. I see how you mean. She has an armor that's a little bit mechanical with her wings.
Really, her wings that make me think of like a Gundam wing. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to nerd out for a second. I'm like, man, I want to cosplay as Mercy, and I'm a dude. But
yeah, she is really cool. She has a pretty awesome design for sure.
Yeah, I love chat room. It's been nothing but TF2 references all day. We got the Torbjörn, everyone starts yelling engineer. We're now on Mercy, everyone's yelling medic. You guys are very fun. Calm down, guys.
Yeah, they've been yelling TF2 things since the beginning, especially one person. He's been yelling, spy, medic, other stuff like.
He also gave us a pylon reference, so I'll let it.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
I'll let it stand. So
yeah. But yeah, I guess she definitely. There are again a lot of functional similarities with the medic from TF2, with the heal, and I'll let you get into it. But there's also things that make it functionally different. And well, maybe go over the abilities, because you've played her a lot, and then we can discuss how it comes together.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as you said, she's not dissimilar from the medic in TF2. She has a healing beam on her left click and a damage increasing buff beam on her right click, which is pretty much exactly the same as the medic in TF2.
Doesn't the medic's buff come when you heal someone for long enough?
Oh, I believe you're right.
Yeah. I don't think you can choose to buff or heal. It just, you overcharge them when you've healed for long enough in TF2, but here you constantly have to be making the decision, to be healing them or buffing them depending on the situation.
Right,
so already that introduces a little bit of an interesting choice.
Yeah, and people can go down fast. I know, because I remember the first time I'm like, oh, they're full healed, I'll use the damage buff. And then they kind of got converged on, and it didn't seem like I could switch to heal fast enough.
So you have to anticipate for sure.
Yeah. Spaz in the chat room is confirming on TF2, by the way. I knew it was called Uber, but yeah, when you heal long enough in TF2, it activates like Uber, and they get kind of there's a visual like key you'll see. They kind of glow when they get it. Does a lot of damage, but yeah. So it's a conscious decision. You have to choose whether you're healing or you're buffing. She can go on the offensive by using a pistol, but the thing does like no damage. It's real pathetic. They even write on the website it's like probably best used in worst case scenarios.
And it's also another weapon, so I think it's the only character that has two different weapons that you have to choose by pressing 1 or 2, right?
No, Torbjörn can switch technically can switch to his hammer, which also he can whack people with if he wants. Probably not the best choice, but no, yeah, there's I think that's the only other hero.
There's 2.
Yeah. But really the thing I love about Mercy, seems like a running theme on the show now, is how much fun she is to just move around. Because her shift ability is called Guardian Angel, and what it does is she just flies to whatever ally she's currently aimed at. I believe it also has a range, so I don't think you can just go clear across the battleground if you have sight on someone. But again, has really a nice range on it. And I was talking about a nice synergy with Widowmaker or even Hanzo or any of the other characters that can really take advantage of the verticality of the maps. Is you can use Guardian Angel, just fly right up to the roof if you target your friendly Widowmaker, and it's it's a super fun ability. And then also on her regular jump, hitting spacebar, if you hold it down, she just glides very gently, kind of active. You'll see her wing graphic activated if you're not playing as her, obviously. And she'll glide very gently down to the ground, which I love because I'm a big fan of mounting up, jumping off of lumber mill, popping levitate, and healing the crap out of my friends in blacksmith in World of Warcraft. So I love a gliding healer.
I do that too, and they also have the I'm gonna fly to you or bring you to me in World of Warcraft. I guess it's a little bit different. Thinking of the druids now.
Yeah, it's more like scorpions get over here than it is you going to them. But
yeah. She is. Oh, maybe you want to talk about her ultimate ability.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick because it's just called Resurrect. It does exactly what it sounds like it does, except it resurrects all of your dead allies in a given radius. It's kind of a medium circle, but if a bunch of your buddies died around an objective, this is insanely strong because it brings them back with full health. So if you've got a good Mercy who knows how to kind of get into a hot area, stay alive long enough to pop Resurrect, this can really shift the tide of a fight. And
I think that's also one of the things that makes her a little bit different from the standard medic type characters in other games, including TF2. It's that she's not a character that is, someone who shoots stuff and also heals. She's really there like 95% to heal and do that. And she will do it really, really well, including that ultimate, which can completely change the tide, turn the tide of battle if you use it well. And she can be super effective. She can be super powerful without firing a single shot, which is something, Blizzard talked about quite a bit at BlizzCon. And she really embodies, like, if you want to play a healer, not a medic, but a healer in the game, she has you covered. Like, you're going to play a real healer. And I'm also very excited to see what other type of healers they can come up with in the game.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised that I enjoyed playing Mercy so much. Because in traditional shooters, I hated playing medic classes. But in MMOs, I enjoy playing everything. I usually go for tank, but for the sake of this discussion, I really enjoy priest healing in World of Warcraft, for example, especially in PvP, because for me, PvP is just about how angry I can make my opponents. And keeping my entire team alive is, to me, the highest thing up there. Nothing makes anyone more angry than a good healer. And this totally really gave me that feeling of being a healer in the middle of a PvP game in an MMO.
Yeah, I just want to point out how mature this remark was just now. Just
mature or honest? Because let's face it, when you're playing against other people, what is your goal, Patrick? It's to be better than them and to infuriate them.
Well, I don't know that you necessarily have to put those two together. But personally, when I play against other people, my goal is to make them like me and, to distribute cuddles. I don't know about you, but maybe that's why I'm not very good at competitive play.
Is this too easy?
That might be.
Is this too easy to drop a French joke in here now? Are you just setting
No,
it up?
go ahead. I'm used to it.
I'm not going to take it. It's too.
Oh, you could. It's
too easy. It's too easy.
I did make fun of your country as well, just in this show. So.
Oh, no, I'm not going to open that door because I live in Florida, and that's one of the worst places to be, and on top of any American jokes you can make. Well, you're also in Florida. That's just full of crazy people. So I'm just going to not open that door. So,
all right. Yeah. So Mercy, I played her just a tiny bit, and it was a little bit disorienting to be playing an FPS with a character that's just healing, but definitely fun. And we can't say enough good things about the Guardian Angel ability, where she just zips through the map and gets to the character you're targeting. That not only is, again, fun to use, but also it makes her much better at her job on the battlefield. It's again a very coherent ability with her entire kit, and it makes the thing whole and make sense. So,
right, because I mean, she's kind of useless by herself. So if she's not by some ally, doesn't really matter who, she's not really helping the team. So giving her this ability that allows her to zip to an ally and start healing or buffing them immediately is it's kind of necessary on top of being fun.
And she can use it to get into the thick of battle. She can also use it to escape for sure. So again, there's this simple ability that is strategic in the way you construct your gameplay style around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about there's two heroes design wise today that I love. I love the look of and made me so excited. The first one was Bastion, and the second is Symmetra. I just got so excited when I saw this character because she looks very unique. We've mentioned
she looks
a little.
Just weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
She looks strange.
Who?
No, she looks strange.
Oh, okay. Symmetra. I don't know. I mean,
her design and her abilities. They're just. It's very foreign to me.
Right. Well, like when she first showed up and you saw her, she kind of stands there with her fingers together and she's making like a geometric prism. And I heard the name Symmetra. I was like, oh my God, are they making a character where we get to kill people with math? Because that makes me so excited. And then we even talked a little bit of, we made mention that if you go on the website, all of these heroes have strangely specific, countries of origin, and they show occupation and all kinds of stuff. And I just can't remember the last time I saw like a badass female Indian character in a video game. I don't know. I was like, good on you, Blizzard. There's so much diversity in this game and things I feel like I haven't seen before, on top of things I feel like I have that make me feel like I'm kind of putting on a comfy pair of pants.
Well, on the country nationality, I think all of them are different. They're from different countries. I think they really thought, let's just have fun with having it's this world, like this futuristic-ish world, but it's still the real world. So let's have people. It's kind of like Street Fighter. You have people from different parts of the world. For each character is from somewhere different. So yeah, I think they just figured, let's just do that and have each one of them be from a different country. So yeah, she's an interesting design for sure.
Yeah, I want themed clans to come up where everyone just plays the same hero from whatever country your clan is in. So Patrick, yours would be a bunch of Widowmakers.
I don't know that I'd be happy with that, but what's the American hero? I don't even know.
I don't know either. I'm going to claim Reinhardt because of my German family, but
I'd say Reaper, but I'll look it up while you describe Symmetra.
Gotcha.
And Reaper is unknown as any good,
hooded badass is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I didn't hear anyone sporting a really bad Southern accent, so I'm not sure who's from America.
And Winston is from the moon, as we said the other time. I thought maybe he is,
Maybe he's an American monkey, or sorry,
yeah,
ape. He's an ape.
An ape, yeah, an American ape, but he's a lunar ape. So
there you go. Well, anyway, let's talk about Symmetra. Not just because of how cool in the design of a character she is. She also has a really unique kit. Her weapon is it's a beam gun, more or less.
Torbjörn is Swedish, so he's a Swede with a Scottish accent. It's weird, and I'm starting to think there aren't. Oh, is it Mercy? There aren't any Americans.
Is it Mercy?
There's no American. Well, no, she's Swiss. Oh, that's funny. Mercy is Swiss. There's no American character. That's interesting. I didn't notice. I'm sure there will be. I mean, there's this super cool looking cowboy dude, which I'm really hoping is some Texan badass.
If they don't just get Clint Eastwood or a Clint Eastwood sound-alike to do his voiceover, I'm going to be very disappointed in that missed opportunity. So.
All right, let's go with Symmetra now.
Back to Symmetra.
It was just shocking.
I know.
So many revelations.
Back to her gun, her beam weapon. The primary fire on it is just this energy beam. It just continues. There's no break in the fire. It's not projectile based, and it more or less locks on to the target you hit with it. And if you see them move out of your reticle, you will actually see the beam bend Ghostbusters style to its target.
Well, it's kind of like Mercy's heal beam or buff beam, right?
Yeah.
Like the medic's beam in TF2.
Yeah, I don't know why I find that different for a damage dealing gun. I kind of expect healing beams to work like that, but I thought that was kind of interesting for a damage dealing ability.
Yeah, there aren't many of those for sure in FPSs in general. I know in Titanfall you have a gun that allows you to lock on an enemy 1 to 5 times, I think, depending on how long you've locked them, and then you fire it, and the bullet just finds them. It's very short range, obviously, but it's a homing bullet type of gameplay. This is homing as well, but in a different way. It just damages over time.
Yeah, you still have to find your target and hit them in a traditional shooter sense from kind of getting it in the middle, but then it just kind of follows them.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It kind of differentiates her from everyone else who's just running around with a gun. It has ammo. It's not infinite like Mercy's healing or damage beam, but
or buff beam.
Buff beam. Sorry, damage buff beam. There we go.
We were both right.
We'll call it a DB beam. And then, but you can also charge this thing up with right click, and it absorbs ammo while you're charging it up, and then you fire a large energy ball that takes. It also sucks up a little more ammo once you release it. And it not only passes through and destroys shields, it deals a bunch of damage while it does it. If you watch your trailer, you'll see her take out a Reinhardt with one of these things. I'm sure the Reinhardt was damaged when it happened. But even if you don't kill the Reinhardt, I wish people on the floor of BlizzCon had noticed that this was a thing, because Reinhardts were tearing it up in my games. And
yeah, for sure. I mean, it would have worked against Bastions that were tearing it up in my game as well, because as you were saying, these photon bullet things go through shields, and it's just people weren't aware of it, so they weren't aware of all the gameplay mechanics that were in place. I'm sure if we had known that, every time we die, we'd just come back as Symmetra and just destroy the people who were so annoying.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my Blizzard friends towards the end of the con, and he's like, well, what'd you think of Overwatch? I was like, it was great, but man, we were just getting destroyed by Reinhardt. That shield is absurd. He's like, oh, just play Symmetra and you can just, charge her regular thing and you just take the shield out. I'm like, oh, I played her in the very first game and I didn't know that. I guess I'm the reason we lost the game. But she has some other abilities that are very cool. Her shift ability kind of, you'll see her, she just picks up and kind of shows like a holograph of a sentry turret. Hers are very different from, say, Torbjörn's, though. They're very small, circular. They look like a mine. They're about the same size as all of the mines in this game. And they'll also stick to any surface, pretty much. But But she doesn't throw them, she kind of conjures them. So when you hit shift, it kind of shows the holograph on whatever surface you're targeting. You left click, and it beams in this short range turret to the area. And it's a proximity turret that'll start firing at its target with a steady beam that deals damage, but also slows
the same
them.
kind of photon projector that she's using as her primary thing, right? That follows the people around.
It follows them, but not in the same it's always a straight line, and you'll never see this beam bend. But it automatically follows a character, enemy character in its proximity. And she can actually place up to 3 of these things before the full cooldown is kind of incurred. So you can kind of lock down an area. Like in the video, you see her do it in one small spot, and that actually, I was finding that pretty effective in the game to kind of put them all in a heavily trafficked area, because if you have all 3 of these things hitting one person, it is a lot of damage, and on top of that, they're slowed by the beam, so they can't even get out of it that fast. So if you're multiplying it by 2 or 3, they're dead. They're in so much trouble. So
yeah, for sure. And the range isn't immense, but it's enough that if even just one is on them, it's going to do a significant amount of damage. And as you were saying, if 3 of them are on them, they're just dead within a couple of seconds.
Right.
Oh, that's how it seemed. Can we also say just a little bit about, again, talking about design and character design and the way they make the characters look cool? The way, it's going to sound weird, but it really is cool. The way she moves her fingers to create these geometric form holograms is just cool. You know, it's again something a little bit different. She's just, I don't know, it's very hard to describe. You have to see it, but she like plays with these holograms as if they were some kind of blobbish clay thing, and you know, with very delicate finger movements. It's, I don't know, it looks cool, I guess.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's very strange. It was almost like the first time I ever saw someone using a touchscreen and the type of gestures you'd use for that. It was like, oh, this is weird, but it makes total sense.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of that.
They've achieved that with this character beat of, well, she kind of, I don't know, she kind of stretches and pulls and twists with gestures in the air, and she makes these geometric designs with this energy or whatnot.
You know, I was at the, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life in Paris here. I was at the ballet for the first time yesterday, and actually that's a little bit of what it makes me think. The way she moves is like this. The way she moves her hand is almost like a ballet of the hands. Like, she doesn't reload by taking the magazine and jamming it into the thing. She creates this little blue glowy thing with her finger extended and gently pushes it into her weapon. You know, it's very, I don't know, it's very elegant and different for an FPS.
I feel like that's a really good analogy.
Oh, thank you.
Because you watch anyone do a performing art form, and it's something that is obviously pretty and elegant, but there's also you can tell it's been trained, and it's a muscle memory, and that's what they've kind of nailed with Symmetra's animations, which I thoroughly enjoy. I'm glad that you like talking about just the look of things, because that's something I love doing about video games.
The artist.
Oh yeah, you know. Anyway, 2 more things we didn't talk about. She can place a shield on allies, and it again adds kind of an overshield, and it'll absorb damage, and it's actually permanent until that ally dies. So, and I believe you can place it on as many allies as you want, given the cooldown that which everything in this game is a relatively short cooldown if it has one at all. So. So it's a very helpful
I guess
tool.
we should mention that any of those enhancements, or, you know, turrets that are placed, or any of that, disappears when you die, when you change characters. I'm not sure when you die, if you keep the same character, I'm not sure they would disappear, but definitely if you change characters, they disappear. So you can't like put shields on everyone and then go and play another character that will, you know, put turrets everywhere, and then another character that will do something else. You know, the enhancements or objects disappear if you change.
Most of the abilities in this game disappear or expire when the hero dies.
Okay,
as well. But I am curious about how that works with the photon shield because it doesn't actually specify. At least nowhere at the moment. I can't wait for the game to come out and we get our data mine websites like anything from Zam or Curse, because that's the kind of stuff I like. You guys should see the show notes because Patrick comes in. He's like, "Well, this is oddly specific." I'm like, "Well, I like to know timers and the specific damage." And when I was doing my StarCraft podcast, I loved knowing movement speed, even though it was completely arbitrary. It's like, well, what is 2? In StarCraft.
No, it's important. So first of all, I do think it's awfully specific in the notes, but I'm awfully thankful for it because it allows us to, and me not to sound stupid. But for the movements, it's very important because it's relative to the other units. So
right.
Anyway.
Right, exactly. So, and then we need to talk about our ultimate, which is, again, very much utility, but has a huge impact on the game if used correctly. It is a teleporter. And you don't have to put an A and a B. You just put a B, for lack of a better term. It is an exit pad, and the entrance pad to a teleporter, it's always in your team's starting area, regardless of the battleground that it is, at least so far. They may change that in the future, but the 3 battlegrounds that we got to see and play at BlizzCon, that was the case. And it is so strong, and it should be obvious because obviously, if your allies are dying and they're rezzing all the way back at the spawn point and say it's payload and your payload is pushed, almost to the end point, and Symmetra can find a good hiding place for her teleporter pad, and your recently, deceased allies are just porting right back into the fray. I almost said into the shit. It can swing a game, and it's very important, and I think Symmetra is going to be like if this game comes out and it does become the esport, a lot of people are hoping it does. I feel like Symmetra is going to be such a key thing. If you have a good Symmetra player, that's really going to make or break your team. So,
yeah, for sure. She's really important, and if she's not the easiest character to play. There are a few, which are really approachable, as we were discussing last time. And she's not one of those, but if played well, she can be super, super effective and super important for the team. I'm also looking forward to seeing how... So I'm sure they want to keep every character completely unique. But I'm guessing they're going to have other characters that have other heroes that have teleporter-like abilities. And I'm looking forward to see variations on the Symmetra theme if they ever come out.
So want to see like a demon gate from WoW where it is an A and B, but it's a shorter range.
For example, or, I don't know that we need an A and B because that's what makes it easy and fun to use. But maybe there is a way of doing it, or I don't know. I'm just curious because already in this, I keep saying the same things. I'm sorry, but in these 12 heroes, they've already showed us a few which are really different and original. So I'm really looking forward to seeing others that have another approach that we didn't think about these familiar concepts.
Yeah, Symmetra and this final guy we're about to talk about, I think, are for me the two that I found the most interesting and the most unique to a shooter. But then,
so you played Zenyatta as well?
Very briefly, much like who was it? Much like Symmetra, played it briefly in my first game. Didn't quite understand what I was doing, and then after the fact, went and watched this video after BlizzCon was over. I'm like, oh, that's what I should have been doing. Gotcha. Okay, because while at the beginning of the show, we talked about Bastion and how on the floor of BlizzCon, it sounded like he and Reinhardt were the two everyone was hating on, saying, oh, they're broken, nerf them. But when it turns out we really didn't know how to counter them. And whereas we're about to talk about Zenyatta, and I feel like Zenyatta was it was on the opposite end of the spectrum. Everyone thought he was underpowered, and they didn't really know how to utilize him. Myself included. I gave him one try, and I was just like, I don't like this, and switched into the sniper because I've played enough shooters. I know how to hit someone in the head with a bullet and kill them in a game. Yeah, that was a strange sentence, but anyways. So let's talk about Zenyatta. I think we poured enough love on Symmetra. I'm very excited to play her more when we get to the game in our homes and can play it at our leisure. But Zenyatta, another very cool, very interesting character design. He's this monk robot android thing.
It's so I played it, I guess I should say, a little bit, and I really loved the design. I think it is a little bit difficult to master as well, and kind of like Mercy, he doesn't really I think it's male, so let's go with he. He doesn't really do much by himself. You really need to have him around. He's a true support character. I guess Symmetra is also a support character, but she does stuff with others, but those turrets do damage, by themselves as well. So you can play kind of alone. Here, you really have to play with other characters because his main abilities are Orb of Harmony, which is an over the time heal that he places on an ally, or Orb of Discord, which is a damage, a debuff. So characters that have it on them will take more damage than they would normally.
Yeah, but only from Zenyatta.
Is it? Are you sure?
I'm Orb of Discord attacking the attaching the Orb of Discord.
The amount of damage they receive for as long as Zenyatta lives.
Oh, okay. I misread that. So never mind. So that makes it way better.
Yeah. and by the way, the Orb of Harmony also heals the ally continuously. It's not time-based. It's as long as Zenyatta lives. So he can only have one, so he has to choose which character he's going to apply the orb to, and same for the offensive orb. So he can have one buff, one beneficial orb, and one offensive orb at a time. But they keep doing it for as long as he's alive. So if you put the offensive orb, the Orb of Discord, on someone, and just then go away, they're going to keep that orb forever until you die.
Yeah. And let's take I think the easiest analogy to make, which is imagine you put the Orb of Discord on the enemy's tank, and you put the healing orb, the Orb of Harmony, on your tank, and all of a sudden you have a tank that won't die, and their tank is just dropping like a fly.
Yeah,
it's
now of course once the tank dies once, when they come back, you have to put the orb on them again. But still, it can be super important at certain points of the game. And then, so I'm going to go into the ultimate ability before I talk about his just regular, shooting bullets ability, because I want to talk about that one a little bit more. His ultimate ability is called Transcendence, and it's basically, if you want to describe it mechanically, he has a very large area around, well, maybe not very large, but fairly large, medium area, maybe let's say a 5 meters radius around him, so large globe, where he pulses health restoration. So he heals characters around him for a little while. And that is obviously, again, very powerful when you have allies clamped up and you want to keep them alive. He just stands there, and the orb follows him, the dome follows him, and just heals everyone. So it's very powerful again, but very powerful if you have people around you. And the Orb of Destruction is his just regular, left click ability, and he shoots orbs one at a time. There are these, beads that he has around his, as a kind of giant necklace around his neck. And when he starts shooting, they expand and light up, and he shoots them by making these weird
martial arts
signs
moves
with his hands.
They're like martial arts moves, but in the air. He's not actually
but it's
meleeing.
Yeah, it's not even punches. It's like ninja, mantras, like signs that they do to do their thing, but with just one hand. And he alternates and randomizes them. And it's just the coolest looking thing. Honestly, when I saw that, I just wanted to do it all the time. It looks really awesome. You have the hands in front of you, in your screen in your first person. And it looks super awesome.
Please tell me you're just walking around the streets of Paris, just air karateing your way around town. That'd be
I may
so
or
delightful.
may not have done that to people that were annoying me on the plane.
Yeah, I'm a huge Avatar fan, and it looks very much like bending in the Avatar animated series.
Yes, exactly. Except bending is, a little bit, it takes longer and it's sustained. Here is just this,
yeah. And he's always got his legs crossed, and he's always just floating, so he's not getting his legs into the movement. But it is from first person view. It's again the design side very well executed.
Yeah. And so he can also charge it. I'm guessing these don't do a lot of damage at all, but he can also charge it and fire all the orbs in rapid fire volley, and just shoot them at once. And I'm guessing that does a little bit more damage, but it's very situational because you have to have charged it before, and that means you can't use any of your other abilities before you release it. So. It's not, even with that, I'm guessing that Zenyatta is not a very offensive character, even with that option.
No, but I always enjoy the idea of a battle healer, and in most role-playing scenarios, it's always a monk of some sort. So I'm glad that the monk here can still throw down by shooting these massive metallic orbs at people.
Yeah,
and his charge ability I like too, because it's almost like a burst fire when he releases these 5 orbs from like a Halo battle rifle, but you have to charge it ahead of time, and there's a wind up again after you let your one charge go. So you're gonna have to make sure you hit your target. Otherwise you're just gonna be like, oh damn, and everyone's gonna look at you, and no one will judge you if you play with us. But
Zenyatta, really cool design. He's one of my favorite heroes for sure. Just from I don't know if I'm gonna play him a lot, but from a design perspective, he's up there with Tracer, Reaper, Hanzo, and those others. Even Mercy I really like in Bastion. There's a good half of the characters that I really like design-wise, and Zenyatta is definitely in that half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's any I don't want to play. I was very turned off of Zenyatta originally, but having more time after the fact to come home, read about the game, see everyone talking about it on Reddit, read other people's experiences, it's a character I really want to get back in and try again. Not as much as Symmetra. I really want to get good with Symmetra, but we'll see. We'll see. So,
and that is it, isn't it? That's 12 characters.
That is all the heroes that were playable at BlizzCon 2014, which means we're done. We're out of here. No, we're not. we got one more episode planned for you all, and it's completely dependent on you, fine listener, to give us the content for said episode. We are going to do a mailbag episode next week, same time. If you're interested in joining the live show, by the way, we weren't originally going to stream this live, but we had enough people asking. I'm like, well, it's not that hard for me to hit go live on XSplit. So if you want to stop by,
a couple dozen people watching, that's cool. Hey guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So without mentioning it to anyone beforehand, and just as an insanely early time in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. If you're West Coast, this is probably just not happening for you. This hour probably.
So what time is it? When are we doing this?
We go live at 8 a.m. Eastern time. If you're here in the US, and it's
or 2 p.m. Central European time on Thursday.
There you go. So if you want to stop by and try and distract us by yelling not enough pylons in the chat room, you can do that. And then we will call you out, we'll have a good laugh, and we'll move on with our discussion. So to those who are asking like when we're doing the next Angry Chicken or whatever, I don't know why you expect me to stop the show and answer that, because
but you can.
It's always Monday, every Monday, same time. It has never changed. Anyways, We're doing a mailbag episode, so send us emails. The address is mail, M-A-I-L, overwatchers@gmail.com. Send it there. When the show probably inevitably comes back, when the beta starts, if we get in, that is, I will be changing that. I am so sick of watching Patrick just get the shit-eating grin every time I say it, that this must be changed.
I didn't say anything. I just laughed inside.
I can see you.
On the
I can
inside.
see you, Patrick, and I know what you're thinking. You're just like, Garrett, what were you thinking when you made this email address? Because it sounds like we're being gender-specific to the Overwatchers. Fine, Patrick, fine. I will change it. Anyway, send your emails in.
It's funny.
Send your emails in, mailoverwatchers@gmail.com. And we're going to be filling up a whole episode with your thoughts and questions, so send them over. You can also follow us on Twitter @OverwatchCast. Subscribe to iTunes or on YouTube over at youtube.com/StarcastShow. That's StarCastshow. And send your emails. If you're an iTunes listener and you've left us a review, in North America we only have one at the moment from Triumphy. Thank you very much. And if you have not, please leave us a review. It helps on iTunes a lot. Their metric for putting shows up and down seems to be a combination of black magic, reviews, and when episodes go up. So anytime you leave us a positive review, it really helps the show a lot. So if you're enjoying what we're doing and you want us to come back once the game is playable, leave us a review. Let us know. We'd really appreciate it. So, Patrick, where can folks find you when you're not doing this show?
Well, the easiest way to find me is on Twitter. I am not Patrick. So that's easy to remember. It's like my first name, Patrick, except you had not in front of it. So that's twitter.com/notpatrick. And other than that, on FrenchSpin.com, you'll find episodes of the shows I do in English, one of which being Pixels, which is a video game show. A video game show where we try to cover the news of the past couple of weeks, because we do it twice a month. We do the news from the past couple of weeks, and we try to cover them with a little bit of analysis and seriousness, which I'm not sure how well we managed to do, but that's what we try to do. So it's not a video game review show. It's really something that I haven't seen a lot out there. It's really news related, and we don't spend necessarily a lot of time reviewing games, because that's not what the point of the show is. We had Veronica Belmont and Brecky Thomason on the latest episode. So if you want to listen to that, you can go to, again, FrenchSpin.com and tell me what you think about it.
Awesome. I finally got on the train and started listening to Pixels, and I've been really enjoying the show. So,
thank you.
There's my stamp of approval on it. So folks should go check it out.
If you didn't enjoy it, would you tell me?
No, I wouldn't, but I also would have just been like, cool, moving on. Which isn't to say anytime I say cool and move on to that I don't like whatever the person is shilling. It just means maybe I haven't digested it yet, or I'm trying to wrap the show up quickly. But I have a few more minutes, so I was like, you know what, I will add in the fact that I've recently listened to the show and enjoyed it. So there you go. There's my thought process broken down for you. If folks want to hear more from me and my loud, opinionated butt on the internet, you can do so on Twitter @GarrettArt, Garrett. There's 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett, but only 1 R and 1 T in Art. Because people have been, once I said that last week, they're like, Garrett, there's 3 R's and 3 T's in your Twitter handle. I was like, I was specifically mentioning my name, which everybody spells with 1 T and is incorrect.
I'm also looking forward to hearing your butt on the internet.
My butt, yes, yeah.
Your opinionated butt.
My opinionated butt. My butt is very opinionated. It currently enjoys the seat it's sitting in, but it may not enjoy the next seat it's sitting in, and it will let you know. You can find all of the shows and work that I do over at AMOVE TV. So that's AMOVE.tv. And you can also go to nomoonart.com to see my graphic design portfolio and contact me if you need a freelance graphic designer. So go check that out. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Again, we will be back next week for episode 4. It will be a mailbag episode, so shoot in those emails. But until then, everyone, have a good time.
Bye.